Remember, if the platform's algorithm changes every single week, if not every single day, so should your content also be adjusted according to that. Hey there, and welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I'm your host, Sam Hind, and in the light of the changes that we've seen in the last few years, specifically in the last 12 to 18 months, I really felt it necessary to speak into something that I'm seeing happening more and more. And in a world where we are absolutely hungering for human-to-human contact and connection, I think there's something very important that many of us are missing in our search for productivity in business, and a fine balancing act we need to make in order to get the results we want to get, whilst also saving the time that is so precious to us right now. As we get access to these incredible AI tools that are at our fingertips and many other tools that are out there right now that are helping us to streamline, particularly our social media content and our connection with our ideal customers, we need to stop and ask ourselves a question first, and it's this: will this help me build a meaningful relationship, or am I skipping an important step here and removing my personality from the equation? Today, I want to talk to you in this Power Podcast episode about 3 things that we should never automate and why we should never automate them. And I'm going to start off with this one. Number 1, you should never automate and mass produce your content for social media. Now, I am all for being productive. I'm all for doing things in the shortest amount of time possible. But above that, I'm all for getting results. And the one thing you've got to be very careful of is if you see a tool out there that says to you, hit one button or enter one word and we'll create for you, X amount of content to put on social media, I'd like a red flag to go up, because by no means is that content going to be timely. Is that content going to be value driven? Is that content going to be targeted towards your ideal customers? And most importantly, that content is not going to involve you. So if you see an option to mass produce content to save time, I also want you to see it as being completely unsuccessful, in that it's not going to connect with anybody. So really, it's a waste of your time and your money to even go down that road. Content that's effective needs to be refreshed every 1 to 2 weeks. In other words, you don't want to schedule more than that distance ahead, because you want to be in the moment. You want to be sharing what's current and relevant, and you want to be responding to what your audience is telling you. So using your insights on the platform that you're using, paying attention to what your audience is telling you, but also what that platform and its algorithm is delivering from your content. If you notice that particular types of content are getting better results than others, that should be telling you something about what you should be doing more of or less of. When you mass produce everything and schedule it weeks or months ahead of time, you're not paying attention to those cues, which means you're going to be repeating mistake after mistake, and you're not going to be providing content that the platforms are actually looking for. Remember, if the platform's algorithm changes every single week, if not every single day, so should your content also be adjusted according to that. How do we adjust it? How do we know what those changes are? By posting as we go, by paying attention, by looking at what's working and what's not, and then adjusting accordingly. Now, I am not suggesting for a moment that you should therefore be posting your posts day by day. That is also an unproductive use of time. But my recommendation to anyone that we train is always to sit down once a week, spend a couple of hours scheduling your content in for the next 7 days. That way you're on point, you're looking at what's trending, you're paying attention to what your audience is saying, and you're looking at what the algorithm is currently doing with the content that you're posting. Should you go further ahead than that? Sure, you can schedule some stuff in, but you still need to be sitting down and having a look each week at, hey, do I need to make some tweaks to this content I've scheduled ahead of time? Or is it still relevant and value-driven enough to get me results? So that's number one. Number two goes along on a similar tangent, but is definitely something that we are seeing more and more of. And this is using AI to automate your captions. In other words, to create your captions to go with your post. And I want to pause you right there if you're thinking of doing this. Please don't. A number of reasons why you don't want to. The first is really simple. The platforms know when something was AI written. They can tell. Not only that, but there are programs in the background of each platform that actually assess and analyze to see where that piece of content actually came from. And just like they're able to tell if a student's exam or the essays were written by AI, also the social media platforms using the same technology can also examine a post and know where it came from. That's number one, but that's actually not the main reason why you shouldn't be doing this. The main reason why you shouldn't be doing this is because people know you didn't write it. They're not silly. And people buy from those they like, know, and trust. I don't know how many times I can repeat that same phrase, but in this case, it is so important to remember that when your personality is inserted, it changes the result you get because people are connecting genuinely and authentically to you. So if you think that you're going to be more successful by removing yourself, let me just share really quickly a response I gave to someone a couple of years ago. I was in a networking meeting and I stood up to tell them a little bit about the business that I was in. And I got quite confrontationally asked in front of everybody, Sam, what is it about your business, your social media training business that's different to any other social media trainer out there? In other words, why would anyone come to you and not somebody else who teaches social media? And it's a great question. But in seconds, I had the answer and I was able to respond clearly, confidently, and know that I was on point with this response. And it was easy. The one thing that sets my business apart is me. Nobody can replicate me. Nobody can speak the way I speak, train the way I train, communicate the way I communicate. And it's exactly the same for you. If you show up and you think that AI is going to do it better than you, you couldn't be more wrong. People want to connect to you. And I can tell you right now, the top performing social media content right now is that which is real, which is relatable, which is unedited, which is genuine and authentic. That's the type of content you need to put out there. So by all means, use AI to enhance what you do, to help you come up with a caption, but then make it yours. I use AI regularly to help me write things, but I will always take what it's given me and make it mine. Or I will write it myself and ask AI to give it some tweaks, to maybe do a spell check, to go through it and make it sound more this or more that, which you can absolutely do. But don't think that removing yourself is going to make you more successful. And I can tell you the time that it saves you is actually going to be further time wasted, just like mass producing content. So that's number two. Number three is actually a pet peeve of mine, and I'm sure for many of you is the same. And it's actually the automating of responses on Messenger. I hate this. Now, let me tell you why. There's a few reasons you do not want to do this. There's also some logistical reasons this is going to cause you problems if you are using this feature. Yes, it's a feature on Facebook, but it's kind of like an answering message. Now, the first thing I want to ask you is, if you get an automated response from Messenger, so you send a message to a business or an individual and you get an automated response, does it leave you feeling better or worse about your interaction with that person having received a bot response? Now, 99% of the time, you would say it leaves you feeling the same or worse about that person after receiving an automated brush off. Essentially, that's what I call them, automated brush offs. So first thing is, does it leave them feeling better? No activity is worth doing unless it leaves someone feeling better after having that interaction with you. So if you can't leave them feeling better, then don't do it at all. The second reason you absolutely shouldn't do it is because when you use an automated bot response to a Messenger message, Facebook or Meta mark that message as responded to, which means you don't get a notification reminding you you've got an inbox message. And it's very easy then, therefore, to miss those messages. In other words, leads down the drain. Do you know, about 3 years ago, I was looking for a restaurant venue for our water ski club's end of year breakup. Now, this is June in Tasmania, so middle of the year. It is a very quiet time in Tasmania for restaurants. And we were going to give someone a booking of 50 people, which for here is a big deal in that time. So I decided I wanted to test this theory. So I sent out 10 messages in Messenger to local restaurants. Of the 10, 8 of them responded with an automated message, something along the lines of, "Thank you so much for your message. We'll get back to you as soon as we can." Now, first thing, of course, it does nothing to improve my opinion of the business. Doesn't change anything at all. But of those 8, not one of them ever responded. 2 years later, I get a response from one of them saying, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. We missed this message from you. We've just gone back through our messenger only to find dozens of messages from people that we didn't know we were getting." Of course, I was able to enlighten them at that point as to why, but the damage had already been done. And naturally, one of the 2 businesses that didn't have a messenger bot set up got the business. So just keep in mind, whilst it looks like it's saving you time, it's actually costing you dearly. So ask yourself the question with anything that you ever automate. First of all, is this actually a time saving, or is it actually going to cost me? Second of all, is it removing me from my interaction? Remembering social media is that. It is social media, and people are so hungry right now for that real human connection. They don't want to be constantly questioned whether or not there is actually a human that's interacting with them right now, or whether it's a computer program, an automated bot, or AI. Insert yourself. And finally, make sure you ask yourself the question, how is this going to leave my ideal customers feeling? Because at the end of the day, that's really what matters. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Yes, AI is absolutely an incredible tool, and we are going to continue to give you tips and tricks to use it effectively to grow your business. But please don't use it as a tool to remove you from your business. That's it from me. I hope this has been helpful for you. Thank you again for tuning into the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, of course, so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. And if you love this episode, make sure you share it with a friend. We'll see you in here again next week. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. If you love listening and you found that this was helpful for your direct selling business, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out the recommended video that's popped up on your screen right here. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.